Greetings, Commanders! Welcome to Kerrash Landing, the Elite Dangerous community stream. Commander Kerrash here, and joining me tonight is Commander Bewildebeest. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Very good indeed.
Thank you very much for joining me on short notice. That's awesome. You could do that for me. Yes, hopefully we will have some new people in the viewers tonight. Nice to see everyone who's already in the chat. Hi, everyone already there. Obviously, there was a big announcement yesterday. We will get onto that soon. So hopefully we shall see some new viewers and some questions. I always like to introduce people to the game. So moving right along. So Bewildebeest. We were having an interesting discussion before we came on the air.
Yes, we were.
Yes, we were having an interesting discussion. Now, the last time you were on, we were talking about the API and the various things that Frontier have been doing to support third-party tools and that kind of thing on the background. Now, you've been playing around with a few things yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, so I've continued to use the slightly hacking the mobile companion app API in ways that I strictly shouldn't be, but. Yeah, we're still waiting for the official announcement of what API they're going to go forward with.
Yeah, it's. I know there was quite an interesting thread up on there talking about the things that we wanted and what kind of additions we might want on. You know, there already is a little bit of an API there you can do with the iOS companion app, like you said. But yes, I'm really interested to see where that goes. I really want the idea of having that galaxy map. As part of the iOS app or something like that, just so you can scroll out on your iPad and it's like, when I get home tonight, should I head that way, or should, you know, that kind of thing I think would be really great. But until then, we've got some interesting things coming up. Now, you've been playing with the idea of, I think you said it was like a Shipyard extension, is that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I really like Shipyard, and I think it's really a fantastic tool for sharing builds and playing around with things without necessarily needing to be in game. So you can play around with it at work or on your lunch hour or whatever. But the thing that I think is missing is a sort of social element. Is the idea that you can have a link to your build and have someone browse around the site and find it, or find all the builds that people have logged for a certain ship. Yeah. And sort of almost like a set of recipes, you can construct your own based upon what other people have done, and have upvotes and downvotes and discussions about what's good about it. And there's a whole layer there that I think could be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it reminds me a lot of I think it was WoW. Was it the Armory? You could go onto the website and you can kind of make up certain specs for characters and that sort of thing and share them.
Yeah, this is more like WoWhead, I guess, in that sense, where it started scraping content from the game through the add-ons and whatnot, and there was a quest items, and beneath each one there was a sort of discussion about where you got it from, or what patch fixed it, or whatever, and there's a whole history that I think could be interesting, and especially if we get procedural variants. We're gonna need a way of saying, I've got this base model, but it got +3. If it turns out to be like that, you got +3 to this statistic and -3 to that statistic, and it needs more nuances. So yeah, I'm building something slowly.
Excellent. That sounds really interesting. I like the fact you've considered, future expansion of things in there as well. It's gonna,
Yeah, and also the silly name as well. It's got to have like a silly British name associated with it. So we were thinking about Ship Fit, which is a bit like Quick Fit, but you can't get fitter than a Ship Fitter or something.
Oh, I can see the advertising slogan already. You've got to get that up on big banner up on the website, really cheesy font or something.
Oh yeah, and the whole audio, potential audio sort of parody as well. I think that'd be terrific.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd have to make some tie-in adverts for you. That'd be excellent.
Yes, yeah, perfect.
Brilliant stuff. That's good to hear. We've got some new people in the chat, I think, here. Nice to see you all coming along. Waffle Lord J, already working on an Imperial Clipper. My word, if you bought it yesterday, then wow, that's a good goal to go for already. So yeah, it's nice to see some new people coming in on the chat tonight. Obviously, the big elephant in the room I've been ignoring up until this point. Yes, we all know it. Elite launched on Steam yesterday. Woo!
Da, da, da.
Yes. Oh no, I think it's really good, and I know it's been one of those contentious things all the way from the start. Will you or won't you go on Steam? Lots of people asking for it, lots of people saying they didn't want it, and I think it's nice that it's finally on Steam. It's a shop front, it's a storefront at the end of the day, and it's really useful to get it out there as many people as possible. And I've seen some, you know, really great comments in there saying it's like, oh, I remember playing this, you know, the original back on the BBC, and you know, it just popped up on my Steam thing that is available. Is this the same franchise? I'm like, seriously? This is the first time you've heard about it? We've been ranting for 2 years.
I know, but that's what having no publisher. It's funny that the exposure that we think it gets versus the exposure that it actually gets.
Yeah. So it's great all around. It's absolutely fantastic that we've got the game on Steam now, and it's nice to see this flood of new players coming in again. I think at last check I saw something like 10,000 new people since yesterday, I think, have joined in on Steam, which is really, really awesome.
Yes.
Kipple 1962, hello to you as well. Greetings. No, it's awesome to see new players, and it's really, really cool. So yeah, anyone who is joining tonight, obviously, I did put up something in the Steam community forums. This is a show we do every week to cover things that have happened in the elite community for the week. I do have some official ties with Frontier, so I try to get you some interesting tidbits of information where I can. So I should probably explain what the plan is tonight, shouldn't I? Because I haven't actually gone over that yet.
Yeah, we got an agenda and everything.
We have, yes. We've got some few bits and pieces we wanted to talk about. Now, mainly, I've decided I'm taking a break from combat tonight. I'm doing a lot of combat. Obviously, those who tuned in for the 100th episode last week will know that I got with Adam Woods, Eddie Simmons, Simon's always going to kill me. Edward Lewis, got all four of us in a wing, had a good bash at various bits of combat and some signal sources and things like that. It was really, really good fun showing the co-op side of it, something I've really been eager to. But this week, I'm taking a little bit of a break. I'm doing a little bit of exploration. I've wanted to do this for a while, yes. Crazy, I know. I am heading towards the centre of the galaxy.
That's what I'm doing as well. That's kind of crazy. I think maybe we had so much combat burnout from Lou that we were like, just need some peace and quiet.
No, in-game music is loaded. Yes, I just adjusted that, guys. Sorry. Yeah, no, I got in with the Lou battle as well. Did some of the community goals. It was really, really nice to do. To get involved with all those things. But yes, at the same time, it's nice that I can now just take a break. I can sit back. I can do something completely different. The game has got so many paths I can go down to do it, which is really, really good. Apologies for the volume adjustment there, guys. I'll just make sure that's down correctly. There we go. Oh, seeking weapons. Oh, see, this is the problem with this game. I keep finding things as you're going along. Yeah, it's like, oh, shiny things, more things like that. Yeah, so many distractions, so many things you just want to go and explore and investigate. That is the problem with the game. But we'll get straight onto the newsletter. Let's get through the.
Yeah, did you actually go through the agenda? Did we actually cover what the plan was?
Well, we'll go through the newsletter first, and then hopefully get some more people join in. We can start talking about the whole Steam thing and what's coming up, what's happening with the keys and all that kind of thing. We'll go over that soon. And any other questions that come up in the chat, so feel free to ask away, guys. That is what the show's about. It's all about you guys interacting with us, so feel free to ask questions. So first up on the newsletter, obviously the big one, the one that everyone is talking about, the Powerplay update 1.3. Yes, it sounds exciting. I'm excited, even though I only know little bits and pieces about what the plan is. I'm really excited about it now. Michael Brooks is a terrible tease, and this is the problem. He teases us with all these little tidbits. Now, he's kind of said 1.3 involves a new way to interact with the galaxy. That could be so vague. That could mean so many things. And of course, in earlier talks, he was saying about how the 1.3 update is something which is close to his heart. It's a big update. It's something which he's really, really involved in, really, really passionate about. So Powerplay, and a lot of the intriguing comments and things we've been talking about is that it's going to be more to do with having more control and influence and visibility of the background simulations, like the political states of the factions and things like that. I think... Oh! Are you still there?
I am, yes.
Good, I hope I haven't lost my connection.
No, it's all good. I'm listening to you. You were espousing wisely on what has been so far and what's to come.
I think I just kicked myself off. Let me just fix that. So 1.3. I believe that people are on the right path when they're talking about the possibility of it being basically political kind of intrigue and the story elements and that kind of background stuff. I think that is what is the deal with that there, but we don't know. This is the problem. Michael is a straight up tease.
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense as well, given how easy, or relatively easy, they made making money. It's got to be something that you can't buy, or you know, there's a new thing that you want to strive for, which you don't get automatically by being rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so reputation gain and working for something, or something of that ilk, you know, that makes more sense, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that makes absolute sense. That's the sort of thing that's going to come next. It's something which we've all been screaming about for a while, actually, is that kind of, it is really tricky to understand what's going on, what the political background of various states and factions are and that kind of thing, and it's something I really want to see it be more visible and easier to understand what's going on. Now, I know in the system that I've been playing around with, LFT 133, trying to get them to go into a state of expansion, it was very, very confusing from the outset. But eventually we got to that point that we knew how to do it. We started to see the states change. We've now got the faction has moved over into Teshub and various things like that. But it was too kind of opaque. We didn't really know what was going on, other than looking at the side panel and going through the factions in the current system. It was virtually impossible to see what was going on. So I'm hoping 1.3 brings some of that to the game.
Also, that it means more than just a label in your UI changing from one word to another. You know, that there's a deeper meaning to it being part of the Federation or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Empire or not, or whatever it is that you're doing in that particular system. So there's a lasting sort of relationship you feel you have with a faction, and maybe you have this concept of persistent NPCs that they talked about during the DDF phase. Do you remember way back?
Yes, yeah. Then that was something I was really, really intrigued to see how that would work out. So for those of you who never followed along in that, the idea was of NPCs that you'd bump into out in space would be randomly generated as everything else, so you'd see various names up on there. But if you did kind of follow them, interact with them, end up, you know, assassinating them, or or letting them go or something like that, they would be more likely to show up again at a later date. So you get this kind of knock-on effect that they would remember you, and then you know, if it was Homer Simpson out there somewhere in space, and then the next time you were out somewhere, you might see him going around somewhere again in the same ship, which I think is a really, really interesting idea. I love the idea of that, so I'm hoping that comes in.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant if it's a bit like a game of chess. So if you pick a faction, you and the other people that you play with are pawns. You have some influence, but you know, you're front row, and there are many of you. Yeah. And you have more important pieces behind you, which are NPCs, but they're pitted against another set. You know, so this idea of PvP faction-based, groups fighting each other could get really interesting, because it is about attacking certain, you know, gaining intel. There's so much you could imagine there, isn't it? Isn't there? But it's kind of, you need to have baby steps. You need to build upon this over a month's worth of patching.
Yeah. No, I think it's some interesting times going ahead. Just to catch up on the chat there, Royal Hanky, thank you. Yes, the 100th episode was fantastic. Grebo Brat, an assassinated NPC coming back. Jax Taylor is going to be chasing you across the galaxy. Yeah, that's the thing that does worry me, is, you know, you kind of just get into the habit of just taking out NPCs without thinking. But if they can use escape pods like we can, and then they start chasing you around, might be some serious trouble.
What was it? Shadows of Mordor? What was the thing with the revenge system, the console game?
Yes, I think Shadows of Mordor. I think it had that idea that if you took out one of the lesser one of the chiefs of a group of people, then someone else would kind of bubble up and effectively be promoted up to that leadership role. So the game adapted and evolved with the NPC states over time, which is really, really interesting. I like what they did with that. I'm kind of thinking they might go to a similar route with that, which is good.
Yeah, when the NPCs killed you, they got promoted, you know, and they got to sneer and laugh at you, and they became, you know, the way in which they killed you became woven into their lore, or whatever. You know, that was brilliant. Everyone loved that system, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really good, and I'm hoping they're going to go somewhere similar with that. I mean, also there's the idea of things like where we've got community goals. When you think about it, very early on we had this very simple mission system. It eventually got expanded into a few more mission types and various arcs you can go down, and then the idea of missions with branches. Now we've got the community goals where everyone can get involved and work towards a larger goal. I'm wondering whether Powerplay is going to give us things like such and such a faction would like to take over a nearby system. Do you want to sign up and help the calls? I'd like to see things like that in the bulletin board. I think that would be interesting. That might...
Oh, yeah, interesting. Like halfway between a personal mission for you as an individual commander and community goals. So medium community, well, not community goals, faction goals.
Yeah, something like that. So depending on how many commanders sign up and try to help a faction, it might give them enough power to take over a section and stuff like that. I think that's interesting. Like you said, it's almost like a game of chess. You start to see factions taking over certain sections of the galaxy and owning clusters of star systems and things like that. I think that's really interesting, and that is another possibility down there. Rumour and speculation abound on tonight's
Yes. So we've got Psycho Cow in chat now as well. He's finished up his Drabbles, which is brilliant.
Greetings, Commander. And, who's the guest? Max Ursa. It is Commander Bewildebeest.
It's me. Hello. So yeah, going through the newsletter. What else do we had Powerplay, and also we had the drones. The kind of drones that were people were like, what? I can't reuse them. They just die in space after I've used them. What? Ridiculous.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a contentious point on there. Now, I don't understand the exact thinking behind it. I don't know if there was a balancing thing, like the drones have a limited amount of fuel or something like that, perhaps. But there has been talk about the idea that the drones are a fire and forget sort of thing, where they will go around and scan for chunks of cargo or various rocks if you're mining, that kind of thing. Bring them back to your cargo hatch. But they did mention that they were going to have limited usage, limited lifespan, which is interesting.
Yeah, not everyone likes that idea, but I guess it's, I don't know, it is a balancing issue, of course, but it is funny that you have a harder and harder time explaining certain things from a lore perspective, given it's the 33rd century, 34th century. Yeah, it is a funny one. We'll see. We'll just have to see how the implementation works. Right?
Yeah, I don't believe they would have put in a time limit on the drones for no particular reason. I think the guys balancing out would have made that choice for a specific reason. It doesn't make sense to build some rule or system into the game if there was no intention behind it. If I was building a drone system like that, then I'd just throw it in with the basic mechanics with unlimited lifespan, just let it get on with it and see how it works. I think over testing it for a while, they've come up with the conclusion that, well, actually, if you just have one drone that can live forever, effectively, you're never going to buy more than one drone. You're not going to buy more than one type of drone or something like that. So there must be some underlying reason why it's important. So
yeah, and also people are imagining the worst, which is you go out and you have to take 30 tons of drones to pick up 30 pieces of ore or something crazy like that. And I can't believe it's going to be like that. We'll see.
No, I'm kind of imagining that they go out, they do their business, they come back, and then eventually they would. You could refuel them or something, for example, on your ship, something like that. But we'll have to see how exactly it works. I'm really interested to do that. Mining is something I think which needs some love, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to change that. Also, the idea that they can pick up cargo. So, interesting little comment there in the newsletter. Pirates that are in a hurry can just swoop in, deploy a bunch of drones, steal that cargo, and get back out.
Yeah, and I hope they continue with the smuggling stuff as well, where smuggling on a Sidewinder is potentially easier than
because of the smaller
other ships.
signature size. Yeah, that's something that's really nice. Yeah, definitely balances out. Question there. I've just noticed AD123 UK. Not to knock any of my guests, but when am I gonna get the man on the show? I will say he very nearly did join one night, and there was an unfortunate circumstance which meant he couldn't actually arrive. So I was incredibly gutted by that, as you can imagine. I really wanted you guys to have the chance to at least say hi to him, so he could chat to you guys live in the stream. But unfortunately, it was never to be at that point. And he is an incredibly busy man, so I really did appreciate the fact that he was going to do it. Hopefully, again in the future, David Braven will have the chance to come on. But
also, we haven't seen a stream from those guys for a while either, Eddie and Adam.
Yeah. So been talking to them a lot about them, about the official streams and stuff like that. Obviously, they're really happy with what we've been doing here anyway. So if they have got some big announcements and things to do, I imagine they will get straight on and do that. So hopefully we will see more from them in the future. But I cannot say any more than that.
Mystery.
I do like my teasers. I do like my mysteries.
So newsletter. Carrying on in the newsletter, we had the Mac. It's worth briefly mentioning the Mac beta as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I believe it's in beta now. It's available for Mac users. Unfortunately, I don't have a Mac available to try it, but I believe it's working okay for most people. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think the performance is obviously not quite as good as Windows. For various complicated OS level reasons and that kind of thing. But on the whole, I think it's good. It's doing its thing. I'm kind of gutted. I've got a Mac laptop, but it's running one of those crappy Intel integrated graphics chipsets, so I'm ruled out of being able to play, which is annoying. But there we go.
And I think this is the problem. I didn't realise with a lot of the Macs that they do have mobile chipsets in a lot of them, which means they are limited in graphics power. Of course, the Cobra engine, and particularly its usage in Elite Dangerous, is very heavily focused on GPU power, so that's something which is a limiting factor on the Macs. And like you said, all this kind of under the hood stuff that needs to happen, the whole OpenGL business and all that kind of thing. It's a lot of chicory pokery, which is gonna have an impact on how the game plays. It's going to be improved. I mean, the guys have said they're working on optimizations, so I'm eager to see how much they can bring that minimum spec down by for everyone. I'm really keen for as many people to be able to get in as possible. I've always said that. It's as many platforms as we can get it on. Great, brilliant. Let's get it out there to as many people as we can. That's my
Yeah, on the IRC channel, there's been a lot of people chatting about how that because there's a Mac version, it instantly means that Linux is right around the corner as well. Which I don't know, it's strictly true, but it's good to have a cross-platform engine, driving this at all, and it means it's portable. But I don't know if Linux is necessarily mentioned at all at the moment, despite Steam boxes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I say, don't rule out any platform. It's certainly something that could happen. I was really, really impressed with how quickly the guys managed to get the different render paths. Sorry, I was looking for the terminology then. Different render paths for different types of platforms up and running. I know that the code base will support some really, really crazy esoteric platforms that people have probably forgotten about, but yes, it will support lots and lots of different platforms. So
you heard it here first. The Cobra engine still targets the BBC Micro.
I'm pretty sure they've got code dating back as far as 92, 93, something like that on there.
Oh wow!
So,
okay, Amiga then.
yeah. There's some old school algorithms in there that still do the business. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great to know that they can make these different platforms so quickly, and these different code paths for things like the Xbox One and the various other platforms on there.
Yeah.
Lots of people asking for the Spectrum. Yes.
Spectrum.
I want it on there. See, for those of you who are new to the channel, yes, I do actually own all of the original machines. And last week you missed out. Last week's 100th show was awesome. We got a chance to play around with some of the older versions on the NES and the Amiga and things like that, which was really, really good fun.
Look at that rubber keyboard and everything. That's brilliant.
Oh, I gotta love it. No school like the old school, absolutely. But,
I was a C64 personally, but that's fine. We can tolerate each other now.
I don't have a 64. I always wanted one, but I do have a Commodore Plus 4.
Whoa! okay.
Rarer than droppings from a rocking horse, I believe.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
I do like my retro machines, absolutely. And it still works, believe it or not. It still works. Yes, here we go. C64 Master Race. We've started a trend off on it now. Oh no, this is the problem.
That's it, yeah. Religious wars from the 1980s. We're resurrecting them tonight.
Coming back again, yeah. I think that's the interesting thing about this idea of bringing it on other platforms. There's this kind of love-hate relationship. And a lot of people... Oh, have we lost the stream?
Yeah, I think people are saying the stream's spinning circle of doom.
Maybe a Twitch thing. I know Twitch are having some issues. Just checking now for you guys. please hold the fort.
Yeah.
The streamer you are watching knows you are waiting.
Please take a ticket.
Yeah,
It's back.
hopefully.
Okay, Mad Dog's saying it's back.
There we go, it's back. Right here. Sorry for the interruption, guys. You didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. He refreshed it on his Mac.
Mac. Yeah.
Your Mac works fine. Yeah, that's fine.
So what else? What else do we have? After the Mac announcement in the newsletter, there was comms chatter and all the people who won the Titan Blacks.
Oh yeah, so we must give a shout out. There were 20 successful people who managed to find the Titan Blacks, but of course it was not necessarily time limited, but you had to not only find the canisters of these things, but you had to get back to Godal Station, I believe, Godal Ring, in time to salvage.
In open
play, yeah, which
yes.
was like, I was tempted to just sit by Godal Ring and just watch the brutality as people would come flying past. It's like, yeah, I haven't got any, I just want to watch. I'm going to sit here with the popcorn and just see what happens. But yes.
I did the same thing. I got interdicted in as I was trying to get to the station by someone who was just, policing the airways. I'm like, scan me, I've got an empty cargo hold. He's like, damn it, I'm too early.
Just, yeah, take a number. But it was brilliant. So 20 successful people managed to get out there and find it, but only 5 managed to get back in time, and the 5 winners are Commander T. Schreiker, Hello Meow, Gene Tafau, Space Texas, and Darth Bling Bling. So congratulations to you. I'm not at all jealous of you having a ridiculously powerful GPU. So congratulations to you folks. Absolutely awesome. I think the that goal was a success. It was a nice little tie-in. It was nice to give something back to everyone playing the game and kind of encourage to play the game the way it's supposed to be. I think that's the interesting thing, is get people to do a little bit of piracy, chasing people around, doing that kind of open play stuff. I think that's really
puzzles
cool.
as well. I mean, some people went nuts for the idea that there was a clue in the Galnet message. Absolutely, obsessed.
It must be one of the Kepler systems. It's the Kepler chipset, so it's got to be. It's got to be. Yeah. It was really awesome.
So hopefully they'll do more of that. I mean, a treasure hunt kind of idea, where you could win a T-shirt or whatever, something fun like that would be super good. I think for a certain section of the community, it's really good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I like these little tie-ins. I think they're nice. Obviously, we've completed the Race to the Elite challenge. That was crazy. When they said, yeah, we're going to give you £10,000 if you manage to get that rank. I was, what? Yes,
yeah. Okay,
cool.
But it took 11 hours a day for 3 months or something. Whatever it was averaged out to. So yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Obviously, I couldn't really partake in that event for obvious reasons. Last time I was involved in the thing. Well, actually, we'll move on to Elite Meet, actually, because that just passed on Saturday. For those of you who managed to get to that, it was awesome. It was great to meet up with everyone again and share some Elite stories and talking about various things and sharing all the games. I couldn't believe the creativity in the community, all of the various games that have been created, the board games and the RPG and all that. First time I've managed to play the RPG. Not only that RPG, first time I've ever had the opportunity to play a real paper RPG. How crazy is that? It kind of
did he play Colin's tabletop thing as well?
No, but I was watching other people play it. I was really intrigued. I thought that was really, really cool. And hopefully at LaveCon this year I get to play it some more. But no, it was fun. It was absolutely awesome. I've lost the. Nope, sorry, I'm just checking if anyone's lost the feed on there at all. Okay, so I've seen lots of questions flying up in there. Everyone's chanting Steam keys, Steam keys. Steam keys. Yeah. So that's the elephant in the room. That's the thing that everyone's been talking about. Is where are the Steam keys? Where are the Steam keys? Blah 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 blah. All this kind of stuff like that. Now, yeah, it was unfortunate that the game was ready to go up onto the Steam market before there was a technique for getting the Steam keys extracted and associated with everyone's account. That's just the nature of these things. Obviously there was a deadline to get it out there in time for the Easter bank holiday weekend. That was the important thing. The Steam keys weren't ruled out, they just weren't ready to go at this point, and within 30 minutes of it going up and someone saying, can I get a Steam key from my existing game, Michael Brooks came up and said, if enough people want it, we'll consider it, we'll try and find a way of doing it. Lots of ranty, moany, complainy things. These things always happen. Everyone's demanding X, Y, and Z, but it's not been an absolute no. It's just we don't have Steam keys yet, but we will go and consider it.
Yeah. And there's a few good reasons for it. So just answering Mad Dog, who's saying, you know, that he's questioning why you would need Steam keys in the first place. And there's been a few people that have brought up reasonable reasons for wanting it. One is where you want it, you want Steam to keep two machines synchronized. So if you have a laptop and you have desktop, and Steam just takes care of that if you've got proper integration going on, which is nice. And the other thing is it would allow us as existing players from beta and, you know, who've bought the game already, to chip in and add our reviews and communicate, you know, interact with the community from the point of view of having the game officially in our library. Rather than it being skewed towards the very, very new players. And you know, we saw earlier on today that there was a post on Reddit saying, look, it's great that it's out on Steam, but there've been a slew of very early reviews who have rightly pointed out that the onboarding process isn't quite as slick as it could be. And it had mixed reviews for a while, and this Reddit post went up saying, look, can we get some good reviews on there? Can we get some honest reviews from people who've been playing for a while? Because I think that was underrepresented, and now it's gone from being mixed reviews to mostly positive, I think, which is great to see. But that would widen it out and allow us to everyone to chip in and do that. So I think Steam keys make sense in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's an absolute no-no. It's just they weren't ready at the point of launching on Steam, so don't panic, you know. And there was lots of people, to be fair. I mean, there was a couple of ranty statements on a lot of things, but there was a lot of people that turned in and said, "Oh yes, please, I would like one if it's a possibility." But yeah, I'm not worried if not. I think there was a poll went up and how many people on there, and I'm always dubious of the polls because they don't really represent much, to be honest. When you look at the, you know, several 100,000 people in the community, and 300 people have seen this poll, 100 people have said yes, and 200 people have said 200 people have said yes, they want a Steam key, and 100 people have said they don't care. So everyone's like, well, 2/3 of the people have said they want a Steam key, so that's a yes. And it's like, but that's only 300 people who have come across it on the forum and said that. So I was listening to Lave Radio, and there was talk about that thread, people posting where are you basically satisfied with the game? If so, post here. And I'm perfectly happy with the game, but I haven't touched the forums for a while, so I kind of completely missed out on that. Exactly. I mean, you can't look at these arguments and things, you know, just one little off comment and then think, oh, that's 100% yes or no, one way or the other. It's not black and white. It's a very grey area, and this is why we do the stream. It lets people kind of ask questions and find out about things so that they can see the game as it is, you know, rather than trying to make your opinions up based on some random comment on the internet. Quick question I want to catch up on here from Grebo Brat. Actually, sorry, I've got it from here. If you buy again on Steam, do you get a second commander? Well, effectively, it would be a whole new account, I believe. So yeah, you would have a second commander slot to go out there and do what you want. I'm very tempted to do that anyway, because I like the idea of giving my son an account so that he can go off and play in his Sidewinder and just do whatever he wants without scratching my Cobra. I know, that's selfish. it's like having the keys to my classic car. No, son, no, you can have your little boat banger. You're not having this. I know. Well, if you had multiple commanders, could you do it? Would you do it through multiple commanders? Is this just a clever way? So they've delayed multiple commanders. They just want us to buy another copy. And that is a lot of the cynicism on some of the things on there. Yeah, I've heard the comments on that. But ooh, I found an Earth-like world. Must scan. Oh. Yes, I will stop and scan everything in this system now. There we go. Sorry, distraction. Ooh, shiny. 10,000 creds or more for that. Shiny. That's quite good. Shiny. Yeah. I'll have to do that. But yeah, so yeah, I know there's a lot of people saying it. It's like, oh, that's the only reason they've done it. It's to scam us into buying more, and it's like, well, the conspiracy theories. I love them. Yeah, it's crazy. Just going down. Occam's razor. Yeah, exactly. Make up your own mind. So I think, have we basically covered the newsletter now? I think we have, haven't we? So that's good. Yeah, I believe so. I'm just checking down through the chat, making sure we haven't missed anything then. Who's going to LaveCon then from Muttley? Yeah. I'm going to LaveCon. I better go to LaveCon. I'm helping to run some of the events there, so I better be there. Yeah, I'm possibly going to LaveCon. I haven't quite figured out dates, but yeah, it's relatively easy to get to from London, so no excuses. Yeah. little bit trickier for me, but I will get there. I'm determined.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. But no, it'd be great to meet up with everyone again. I know some really cool things planned. I want to try and sit down and have a go on Colin's game. I know we've got some a LAN event there and everything, which is really interesting. So
Dave Hughes Elite RPG as well is something I'm really interested in. I think I back that as well, so I'm looking forward to that coming out. I really like the look of the darts game as well. That sounded hilarious.
The darts game, that was really fun. I mean, I'm absolutely terrible at darts, but it was great fun. I really did enjoy playing that.
Yeah.
K Wert, any juicy 1.3 info? I can go over the bits and pieces in the newsletters. First topic again, very briefly, the drones. It's just come up in there. The drones are something very interesting. There's a lot more uses for them than just mining, obviously grabbing cargo, transferring fuel between players, which is something I'm really keen to see that used, because that's going to help exploration groups get out there and work together. That's something really good. But then there's lots of other things you can do with drones, so bear that in mind. Question I mentioned about the asteroid scanner. That's something that I would like to see. It was mentioned very early on in the DDF, the idea of having a way of mapping out an asteroid ring around a planet so that you wouldn't have to search around for little clusters of good resources. You could oh damn it, what have I done? I probably kicked my network cable. Nope, still there. So the idea that you could scan entire asteroid belts and find good areas of resources rather than doing it, because I have a lot of people who've gone out and done mining and they've said like, oh, I'm only getting these rocks, it's taking forever, I'm getting 10% chunks of metal and it's just taking forever to actually gather resources. Where I've gone out to places, I'm getting like 70-80% palladium and that kind of thing in a resource, which is like, well, that's what you should be doing, is finding those things. So hopefully little improvements to make that better would be good.
Also to give you a reason to mine, because as an occupation it's fairly brutal. Mining was never an aspirational sort of job to go after, at least of all in gaming. So if there was a way that you could, like you were saying before, if Powerplay brings the idea of sort of smaller faction based rewards, then it is something that you've taken one on the chin for the faction, and they really love you for doing it, and you get more rep for doing mining than anything else. That would make sense.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, even things like setting up a resource site, that kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. There's some really interesting goals you can go for with mining as well. And like Michael said in newsletters, he's really keen to balance out the various ways of working through the game, the various professions and that kind of thing in there. So it'll be really good to see it pushed along and have some real goals put in there, rather than it just be kind of an ancillary secondary profession to back up exploration. So yeah, I'd like to see that. Any other bits and pieces? See that Michael really doesn't want to let me know anything about 1.3. He's been really coy with
No, this is the most tight-lipped they've been for a while, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing they say is it's the biggest update they've done yet, which is kind of scary when you think about it. 1.2 brought so much content to the game, and it took everything that was there and it multiplied it by co-op. And it just made every single part of the game so much more enjoyable to play and get out and team up and do.
How are they going to match that? How are they going to best that? Yeah,
and Lord knows what the plan is with that. It really does scare me when Michael says things like that. It's going to be huge. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And it's like, what are you planning? What are you up to? But
also, I don't think we necessarily know. Although they're going to announce something in 3 weeks, we've got no idea whether or not it's going to be in 3 weeks' time. They're going to say, surprise, it's 1.3, it's here already. Or they're going to say, surprise, it's going to be another 6 months, but here's some info.
Yeah, so hopefully there's going to be some information coming up soon, and I wish I could say more, but I can't. But yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, you tease! Honestly,
I'm a tease. I know I can't help myself. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming, and 1.2 was just it's got the ball rolling. That's the way you've got to look at it.
Yep.
Right, let's see. I'm going to quickly up my my graphic settings, because I think that's what I was doing. I was playing around with graphic settings and testing various things on there, so I'm going to get that sorted out.
Have you been rifting much recently?
No, unfortunately, I don't get, other than doing the stream, I don't get a lot of time to play, so I haven't had a chance to play it as much as I'd like. And then I went and loaned my DK to someone, so I don't really have it at the moment, which is
okay, well, fair enough. You know, it is still a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah, but it's great fun. I really do love it. It's difficult to do it on the stream, and that's why I stopped using it, because I didn't get a chance to play it much other than doing the streams. And on the stream, it's like I'm trying to chat to everyone, and you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't see. If only there was a plugin to see Twitch chat inside the Rift. Well, Steam. I guess that's one of the reasons why people wanted Steam as well. Is that Steam has a whole VR layer for, you know, bringing up the browser in VR, and so you can do far more by keeping everything mapped to your stereoscopic view space.
Yeah, I'd love to see something like that. I think that would be really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, what? You don't have your own beastly PC? No, I am using my own personal PC for this. I don't get any hand-me-downs or anything to deal with it. I am saving to upgrade it at some point, but yeah, it takes time to do these things. But I will get a nice thing. But this is something I do love about the game, actually, is the fact that it works on such a wide range of hardware. And up at Elite Meet, I saw it running on a Surface Pro 3, for goodness sake. You know?
Yeah, that's quite amazing, that is.
I mean, it was probably about 20 frames per second or something like that, but the fact that it was on a tablet, and it was great, because, you know, Carl was going around with an Xbox controller, a little tablet, and a little Pico projector in his pocket. That was his entire rig. That was his setup. And it was just brilliant, you know, because he could just play anytime he wants. Just sit down, plug it in, away you go. On hotel Wi-Fi, as dodgy as it was, my phone was barely connecting, and he was quite happily logged in playing the game. I was like, this is insane. It's like,
I love the idea that he has that as like the sort of tiniest micro setup, and then he pulls out an X55 pair from his bag. Like, here's my control set.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome though. But it's great that it's so scalable to so many machines. So yeah, but I would like at some point to get a bigger, more beastly machine, hopefully to go in line with the eventual
Titan X
release.
Titan
X. Yeah. See, unfortunately, I was kind of exempt from that competition. I wasn't.
Oh, no, that was the black. I mean, the X, like literally the one that's just been released sort of last month, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Oh, love. Look at that shiny donate button down there.
just yeah. Plug away.
Yes.
But yeah,
donate to the stream, everyone. You know, this is an important community stream. Needs your support. Get down there.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some fantastic donations over the time with this. Obviously, with the setup and the new studio and everything on there, it's been really, really good. So I do appreciate every penny I get off you guys. It's really, really awesome. It keeps the stream going, allows us to make it better. You know, things like we said, the green screen, all of the craziness with the other machines and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. It was all down to your fantastic donations. So thank you very much for everyone who's done that.
Very pro. I like it. It is.
That's really good news on there as well. Sorry, I just saw that jump up on there. Currently, 3,200 Steam players in the game. That is awesome.
Holy cow!
That's excellent.
Does that include? And I'm not sure about this, so this is a question out to Muttley and everyone else. Does that include people who've added edlaunch.exe as a game, as a non-Steam game to Steam? I don't know if it aggregates that or not.
I don't believe it does, actually. I think it has to be an official app that Steam recognizes in order for the stats to be included. So that has to be new players, I believe, definitely. I mean, I don't think it includes, you know, non-Steam games, because obviously it can't verify that it is the application that it's saying it is. So, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. Harbinger 73 is also saying that. Do you remember the Backers app?
Oh yes, you can register for the Kickstarter rewards. Yes.
Yeah, so it gives us an idea. I don't know if this is still legit or not, but it gives us an idea about how many players there are, and I think. So Harbinger 73 is saying that it's gone up by over 10,000 members since yesterday too.
Awesome. And that goes in line with the Steam community group chat thing I've seen on there as well. That last time I checked it earlier on, there was about 10,000 people in there, over 10,000 people. And yes, and if we look, Elite Dangerous is #1 on the top seller list on Steam, which is absolutely awesome. So that's got to be 10,000 new people in 24 hours. That's just crazy. This goes to show you how important it is to get on Steam.
Oh, that's terrific, and yeah, the reviews now. There's more and more reviews coming in, and it's staying, mostly positive. It's saying mostly positive, and I think, I don't know. Obviously we're biased, but I do think it's now a good game, and it's rough around the edges, and it won't be for everyone. It doesn't give you achievements. It's not a quick, play for half an hour for a match and then go kind of game.
Well, yeah,
but
exactly. Everyone's got their own tastes and preferences on how a game is, and you can't, look at a game and say, it's not my thing. It's horrible. 0, 0, 0 negative thing. I've not really done that. I mean, look at games like Dota and League of Legends and those kind of games. I don't really play those kind of games. They're not my kind of thing. They're insanely popular. Millions of people playing them, and loads of people love them. I don't go on to their review things and turn around and said, oh, I played it for 5 minutes and I got shouted at for feeding. I hate it. The community's horrible. What's the point?
I don't know. Maybe if you paid 50 quid for it, though. I don't know. Like, it is tricky. The funny thing I think though is when you go to there, the first thing you see is the trailer. It's that bloody launch trailer they had at Christmas that everyone
got a lot of flack
had to go at for being a little bit outlandish. And actually, wasn't there a trailer that they did for 1.2 for Wings?
The 1.2 Wings update, was more more accurate.
It was much more in game.
The game, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but it's one of those things. It's like you want to big it up, you want to make it sound great, you want to give it that kind of cinematic feel and everything like to the game, but it's kind of tricky. It's like, how do you do that without misrepresenting it?
I've never seen 20 ships mining an asteroid at once.
Well, I must admit, with the 1.2 update, I've seen that sort of level of ships in an asteroid field. I must admit, I've seen really, really busy asteroid fields, but not all going after the same big asteroid. So I can see people why they wouldn't like that particular thing. And anyone who managed to scoop a canister of gold that quickly, is fair play to them.
Yes, that's or to kill someone as they're leaving a station as well.
Without getting the station firing on them. But that's the thing, isn't it? You've got like that 60-second window to throw in a trailer and squeeze everything in there, really build up the momentum and make it feel really awesome. So you can't really show the slow bits of the game. That's the problem. Better catch up with some questions on here quick. K-Wart, I think you might be talking about the same person. There was a guy who had no idea Elite was being remade. He was an old classic player of the original games and was absolutely ecstatic to see the game come back, and only just heard of it because it popped up onto Steam. I mean, how insane is that? All this stuff we've been evangelizing for the last 2 years, doing it like we said at the start, and people are only just now hearing about the game. It's like, yes, this is back from the originals 30 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Also, Mech Shadowbeast has just pointed out that the 1.2 trailer, the Wings trailer, is on Steam, but because it's not the one that loads in, it's not quite maybe as getting as much exposure.
On there.
But fair enough. I think that's it. That if you're going to buy a £40 game or $60 or whatever it is, then you ought to do your research. You ought to click around. You ought to have get a feel for what it is before you necessarily dive in.
Yeah, and this is why I've done the stream, is to get people to, even in the very, very early days before anyone else could play it, I wanted to get it out here and let people kind of shout at me and say, hey, Crash, show us the landing sequence, show them how this works. I wanted to give people that opportunity to see the game for what it is and see the bits they wanted to see. And there was a good question there. I must admit, I skimmed past it. I missed it there. AAV14, sorry, a bunch of people answered your question, but yeah, you can do practically anything you want, and this is what I wanted to start the stream for initially, was to show people how they can play the game and what you could do and all that kind of thing, because it is a rich game. There's so many different ways of playing it in.
I mean, like you said yourself, that you're now doing exploration, but once you get you feel like you've done enough of that, you can mix it up and go and do something else for a bit. It's wonderful for that you let yourself be undirected in the game, kind of like Grand Theft Auto. It really is like that sandbox experience. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the creators of GTA said that Elite, at least the original Elites, were the sort of games that inspire them to make Grand Theft Auto and that kind of sandboxy feel to a game. So it's only understandable that the great successor, the grandchild of that whole thing, is going to have that same looking feel to it. So it's really, really awesome.
Yeah, and it's hard to figure that out in your first 10 hours of the game. So anyone who feels like they want to write a review on Steam after 10 hours, I mean 10 hours is fine for most games, except Elite feels like it's something where you do so much docking and traveling. It's spread out. The experience is weeks longer, months longer than your average Steam game, I would say.
Yeah, it's a big game. I've said a lot of times it's got that kind of feel of World of Warcraft, where there's a huge progression arc throughout it. There's lots of different ways you can play the game, and it's going to be constantly expanded on and changed over time. And it's definitely got that kind of feel to it. It's gonna change so much. I mean, even with the expansions coming down the pipeline, we know that the planetary landings and the
holy cow, planetary landings, yeah.
No, I can't wait to go back. And obviously, we had that in the earlier game, so it's just a matter of time before it gets into this game. And I think they've gone the right way about it. They're kind of layering on all of these interesting features over time. And I could waffle on for hours about that, but I want to catch up on some new names I'm seeing in here. So Animal K, great question there from you. Other than being a first-person style, how does Elite Dangerous differ from the open universe, consumer producer, non-linear, and user-determined goals of EVE? That's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, so the key difference between Elite and EVE obviously is Elite is a direct control sort of game, where EVE is more of an executive control. You're pointing your ships around and telling them where to go in EVE. In Elite, you are the pilot. You're sat in the seat. It's kind of like never breaks first person, almost like what Half-Life did back in the day. Even with the cutscenes and that sort of thing, Half-Life never broke first person, and that's what Elite's about. It's thrown you into that character, and you live it that way. So you are a tiny little mote of dust. You are a speck in this vast galaxy which is churning and changing around you. And I think it's really, really interesting because there are community-driven goals and things coming out of the game. Even the ones that aren't on the bulletin boards, you can see on the forums that groups of us have got together and come up with these arbitrary goals. We want to change the political structure of a system, for example. That's the stuff going on in the Mikon system, the things that just recently went down in Lu, the battle for Lu, which was really, really awesome. I think it really works well together. The whole thing meshes together well, and it's nice to see that people can have an impact, even though we're all insignificant on our own. Working together, we can have a real big impact on the galaxy.
Yeah, there's a bit more, I guess, working with people than I felt in EVE necessarily. It felt like EVE, it was more, you felt yourself going up against other players more often, or at least I did back in the day. I must admit I've not played EVE for a long time, but there is more a sense of PvE in this. Maybe it's a bit more like, I don't know, Destiny springs to mind as a more recent thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's PvP arenas you can go. The Lu event was full of people who wanted to fight and were up for that, but also exploring more interesting missions to do with the factions. So there was PvP and PvE sort of almost next to each other in the same system.
Yeah, it was just madness. There was all those community goals going down, and the thing I love about it is the fact that Michael Brooks is constantly on the forums, and if he sees an interesting story that a group of us have come up with, we want to do some crazy thing, like the racing events that are going on, this illegal street racing, and it all starts to get bubbled up, and it gets featured in the newsletter, and then it starts to appear in the in-game Galnet news and that kind of thing, and then suddenly these events start to occur where people are getting involved in it. And I think that's awesome that they're constantly changing the game to fit around our play style, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's an interesting point being brought up in chat as well by Quert, was that the PvE mechanics in EVE were somewhat separate from PvP mechanics. Where the builds, and this is true for Destiny, I guess, as well, and other games, where the build that you would take for going up against AI versus players is different, and that's true in Elite to some degree, but it's actually closer than many games, and I think you can have. It's much more of a sort of easy line to flip back and forward across, rather than needing to retool from the ground up to go and do one thing, and it's your entire session is PvE, and then you have to go back, change it all, and go back for PvP. You can have a build that wanders back and forth.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing which I think is really awesome about it, is it's so flexible, so dynamic. You can go and play and do whatever you want to do, you know, in that time period you have, and that's really awesome. A couple of the guys I work with, you know, he didn't have a lot of time to play the game, and he was so pleased with the 1.2 update when it came out, because he's found now that in the half an hour he might have to play the game, he can jump in, do a little bit of combat. It's really fun, and then he can jump back out, and you know, he's making money now where he was struggling before. So it's nice to see that it's expanding that way.
Yeah, it's terrific. The money thing is great, except what do you do when we're all billionaires?
yeah, that's
you know, there's very few money sinks at the moment, apart from, you know, a bit of wear and tear on your ships, but that's been toned down, and missions where you give 2 million credits to a faction to get some reputation, and that's, you know, after a while you're going to own every ship. So I'm really curious to see what either what money can't buy, or huge sinks being brought into the game, money sinks to kind of make it a bit more of a steady state. Don't know, we'll see.
No, we'll see what Powerplay brings.
Yeah.
I sent a couple of questions shooting up there. Bewildebeest, yeah, I think Bewildebeest, sorry. Originally, a question on there. You've been watching Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. Yeah, I think a lot of us here in the chat who've backed Elite Dangerous, we've also backed Star Citizen as well. I've backed Star Citizen. No Man's Sky. I met some of the guys that are making that in E3 last year, and I really love what they're doing. Their art style is really cool. It's so unique. They're landing on the planets and that kind of thing. Some of the other points you said there about the planet side stuff. Yeah, that is a planned expansion that is coming at some point, and I cannot wait for it. The earlier prequels to this game had planetside landing back in the 90s, obviously very basic, but what the guys have decided to do with the Elite Dangerous, they built the framework, the base of the game, which is the space exploration, the space combat, that kind of thing, and they're incrementally layering on, you know, progressively more detailed content at a higher and higher quality level. So the game is just going to get more and more detailed, more and more vast and deep over time throughout the year. So I can't wait. I'm really excited to see it. The concept art that I've seen is like, oh, you guys, you're killing me. It's like, I've got to get this. Oh, got to see it.
Also, don't forget, we had that very mysterious from my point of view, but in the newsletter a few weeks back, we had photos from some of the devs and producers visiting a shooting range, and they were shooting weapons, weren't they?
Yeah,
and what's that about?
Yeah, I mean, you know, best way to research is to go on location, I suppose. That's the
and I don't even know. You know, it's one thing to say Star Citizen being built on the Crytek engine will have a relatively straightforward job of implementing a shooter mechanic, and I've got a huge amount of faith that that's going to be really solid when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Elite and the Cobra engine, I don't really know if it's done any of that, and whether or not that's even on the roadmap, or you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
when on earth does that feature in?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, first-person camera. There's a couple of things that go into it. You know, the camera control, the high-quality models you need at that level, and kind of things. But Frontier have kind of done similar things when you look at things like Disneyland Adventure and the Zoo Tycoon series and things like that on the Xbox One. They've got experience of working with like third-person cameras and very, you know, small, detailed objects and that kind of thing. Scream Ride and all is coming to Xbox One. Well, it's out on Xbox One now, isn't it? So they've got experience of working with some really high-quality, low-level, you know, detailed environments and that kind of thing. So it's just a matter of creating that content now. It's exciting. I want to see it done.
Yeah.
Some more questions coming in. It's awesome to see so many new names in the chat tonight. Thank you for all stopping by. Scott McGill, could you spend credits on building your own starports and planets? No, not in the sense of you having direct control over it. Like I said, each of us in the galaxy, we are just tiny little pawns in a vast galactic story going on, so we don't really have that level of access to create a station. But as has been mentioned many times before, the community goals have come up where we can all contribute to making a station by bringing the resources it needs to be built, which is really nice. So it's more about working as a team to make these things happen rather than one person owning anything.
It's not like the X series, you know, where you can buy a station and be responsible for a fleet of ships. Although you know, and that's partly because of the history of the game, where it was just one person in their spaceship versus the universe and what goes on there. But slowly but surely, I think that philosophy is being disrupted by the fact that there's multiplayer and there's the fact that there's much larger ships, and who knows what the future might bring. You know, I do think there is wiggle room in the roadmap.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff doing, and the way I look at it is the DDF. I know that people have been giving a lot of flack to the DDF, saying, "Oh, they never implemented half of the things that are in the DDF," and it's like, well, it was never a complete roadmap. The DDF was a melting pot of ideas. So when I look at that and I see something which isn't in yet, I just keep thinking, there's a possibility it may go in. You know, it's this big vast list of which one of those things do we pick next? Oh, let's put that in, and you know, that's where Frontier are today, is they can kind of cherry pick all the best ideas and kind of jump around and, you know, put all these really cool things in. I think Mrs. K is.
But also, oh yes, good night, Mrs. K. Also being open to ideas that have come since the game has launched as well. There was that terrific video from Frontier, an official video from them, about all the people who've been involved in the game and what they would love to see happen in the future. And some of them, I think Tom Kewell, who's one of the original game designers, said that he would love to see police radios, and you could intercept, you know, heists going on or whatever. And that was never in the DDF, but it sounds awesome. I would love that. So,
and I think it was Eddie who said he wanted to destroy an entire station.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so the DDF, although it sort of represents a chunk of what could be, it isn't sacred stone, you know, tablet stuff either. So if there's more interesting stuff that turns out that the players love, it's fine. I don't necessarily want them to be slaves to the DDF. No,
absolutely, and it's nice that they've got all those ideas to pull from, and they are listening to us. You know, it takes time for these things to happen, and a lot of people get impatient and say, "You haven't done this, you haven't done that. Where's this? Where's that?" It takes time to implement these features, and being a developer myself, I understand that it takes time. So I'm more forgiving with those kind of things. But yeah, it's just it's so cool to see what's possible. I want to just quickly catch up. I saw one from Grebo Brat, another one. Player corporations, guilds having that kind of level of access. So it's been talked about a lot. It's something that was a very popular thing earlier on in the design forums, and we spoke through it so many times, going over what possibilities it would give you. There is no direct in-game functionality which allows you to act like a guild with a bunch of players, but the game is very open in the sense that you can just decide to team up with a bunch of people, form a private group or something like that, for example, get into a wing now with smaller groups, or coordinate through some external means. So the game has all of the groundwork for you to work as a large group, and we're seeing lots of those things happen. Like in the system I've been working on, the LFT 133 guys, I've got several hundred people there helping me flip that system, the Teshub system, from anarchy over to a democracy or something, you know. So you can work together as if you do have a guild or a large faction.
But it's not. It doesn't necessarily collectively represent all of your group's achievements in that sense. No. So there's a room. You know, that would make a lot of sense if they brought that kind of thing in due course, I think. But who knows? Yeah. No, it's. I think they've gone the right way with it. Is that they've built the baseline of the things on. When you look at co-op, I mean, co-op was possible early on, but a lot of people were having difficulties with it, and it's one of those things that I was really keen to push out. I was saying to people, oh, if you play this game thinking about it in a co-op sort of way, it's so much fun. It's really, really good to play. And then when Wings come along, it just made it a one-button click. You can go up, you pick a person, and bang, you're in my wing. It's that easy. And suddenly everyone was like, yeah, co-op is awesome. It really, really does do it. So I think they've just got a layer on top of that. And the next thing is going to be... like the Powerplay and stuff like that. It's going to allow us to work as bigger groups towards some end goal, and that's going to be really, really awesome. Yeah, a bit of light persistence. I had a terrific time doing missions, naval progression missions, with someone randomly I teamed up with, who hadn't been in the game for a while, and had picked it back up after Wings launched, and we teamed up. He was an American guy. We went and completed the mission, shot a load of pirates, helped each other out, and had a blast. blast. You know, we'd never met before, and now he's on my friends list. And next time we bump into each other, we're going to team up. And it was just one of those perfect moments of, you know,
like
we've now got the tools.
Sort of.
Yeah,
exactly.
we've got local chat. You know, when I went to that particular PLX system for the Federation, I said, "Hey, anyone doing the missions here?" And he was like, "Yeah, me." It was so good. That's exactly what you want.
Is that incidental co-op? It's just you bump into each other. It's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to? It's like, yeah, sure, wing up. And then you know, the first week that Wings was out, I suddenly went from just before I was just kind of wandering around doing my own thing and stuff like that, and then suddenly it was like every time I'd log on and play, it was like, hey, you want to join the Wing? I was like, yeah, cool. Let's, you know, and that's what it's all about. That was one of my favourite experiences going back to games like World of Warcraft, was just bumping into some other player and joining up with them and having that pally up group kind of things. So it's awesome. I really, really love it.
By the way, someone called Surprise is in the chat, wondering why you're not shooting a bunch of people right now. I think you have to explain where you are and what you're up to.
I've taken a break from combat. I did a lot of combat early on, and I've decided to head towards the center of the galaxy. I'm getting closer. A few tens of thousands of light years to go, but I just stumbled across a really interesting system and I decided to scan it, and I believe I've got all the stars now. So yeah, but this is the great thing about the game, is at any point I can just turn around and I can just decide, hey, I'm going to go off and explore rather than getting into combat. We've been doing lots and lots of combat. Last week I was rushing around destroying the guys, which I still feel really bad about that. I'm so sorry, Ed. I'm so sorry. I will pay you back for your Cobra.
Money's easy to make now. We have to feel less bad. You know?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it was great fun. We had some really, really good fun with some co-op to start with last week. Some combat, showing some of the I don't think we went for a capital ship battle, but we did get involved in a quite a heated fight going on in some of the high intensity zones and all that kind of thing, which was quite fun. But yeah, eventually we decided, let's go for a little bit of PvP at the end to show that we can do it, and yeah, I kind of blew everyone else up. So sorry guys, I still love you. Any more questions in there? Go to the exterior. Going to Karakino's going all the way out to Mayade HGYD17. Crikey, that...
Holy cow, that sounds like something on the edge of the galaxy, maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to head out to the very centre. It's something I want to do. It's one of those... It's kind of those rite of passage things in Elite, I think, isn't it? It's that kind of... Everyone's got to go to the centre of the galaxy at least once. Otherwise you can't call yourself an explorer. So I'm going to head out there like many people have done before me. I know I was never going to be the first, and I wasn't intended to be the first, but I just want to do it. It's just one of those things I want to do. So I'm heading out in that way.
Yeah, I've just got back from a trip to Barnard's Loop, which was amazing.
Oh, excellent. And I love that. I love going out there and just finding those things and, you know, just taking screenshots. It's awesome. Everyone loves the selfie cam.
And the community goals as well. There's the Alliance Exploration Program. So if you love your Alliance, then... go to TSU, that's it, TSU, and partake in that community goal.
Yeah, which is this is what I love about it. It's each one of these things kind of layers on top of the existing functionality, and this is something that Frontier said they were always going to do from the start, and it was kind of inevitable, really. But when you look at it, you had the basic missions. Within a couple of weeks after the release, the basic missions suddenly started having the branching missions, and people forget about these things. Like, you know, no one can really tell you what's in the 1.1 update, you know, because
the branching missions, it does feel like that is a dangling mechanic, because to me, I'm not that fussed about either one. You know, it's like whichever one pays the most. There's no consequence. There's no opportunity cost to me, and I want that back, you know, filled in, like we were talking about, that the idea that factions are really quite important to you in a fundamental way.
Yeah. And I think it's nice that the groundwork is there, and we can build on it over time, and it's just going to get more and more rich environment. And I just hope Powerplay brings in lots of different varieties to the missions and things like that. Some really interesting things. I like the ideas which are... hopefully going to come in soon. You know, the surveillance missions you used to be able to do, so you can fly down, swoop past low on a planet, take some pictures from orbit, bombing runs from, you know,
sneaking missions, silent running.
Yes,
you know,
all these kind of things. Yeah, all these wonderful things. The mechanics are all there, and it's just it's, you know, it's nice to see that it can be layered on and it can be added at a nicer date. So that's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, surprise, you're heading off. Yeah, if you want to see some PvP, yeah, by all means, jump over to another channel. Some really interesting things going on in other channels as well. So I'm not going to hold you back. If you don't want to see exploration, that's absolutely up to you, sir.
But yeah, exploration has it's more of an activity, I guess. That's you know, no one can. It's a bit like the Matrix. No one can tell you what it's like. You have to be there, man.
Yeah, it's all about seeing the sights. It's finding things, finding new and interesting things as you're going along. That's what the exploration is all about, I think. It's
those chain of Earth likes that you find all in a row, and you hit the jackpot.
You make an absolute fortune selling them all.
Oh yeah. Or terraforming candidates, they're always good as well.
Oh yeah, make a load of cash doing that, and yeah, and that's what's wonderful about it, is you can mix and match like that, play it the way you want to play it. I really do appreciate that. I think it plays in with my kind of my way of thinking. I'm very much fickle when it comes to playing games like that. I do like sandbox games, not so much because of the freedom, but the fact that I can just keep mixing and matching and chopping and changing. I've still yet to complete Grand Theft Auto. I'm probably about a third of the way through GTA 5. This is I'm probably about a third of the way through the game story, and I haven't actually got any further because I just started wandering around and doing random things, and you know, that's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah, it's funny that's actually really true, that if you don't finish it within a certain amount of time, that the sandboxy stuff becomes way more important than the plot. You know, that your own story takes over from their story.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I know I'm terrible, but yeah, it's good fun. I like those.
It's the same with me in Assassin's Creed. I've never finished that damn game as well. Well, that's
so much game.
But it's true. I mean, when it arrives on console, it's going to be a really funny one, because it isn't like I can't think of any game on consoles that I've seen recently, apart from indie titles, that are as likely to be as out there on the bell curve, you know, up one end of the statistical distribution of all games, you know, than Elite. You know, it really is an atypical console game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that they've decided to push on the consoles. It's great. I mean, I'd love to see it on more platforms, get more players, more people talking about the game and everything. That's absolutely awesome. But yeah, it, like you said, it is not that kind of game that you'd expect to see on a console. But hey, I mean, it worked before. I mean, I've got the NES version Elite sat right here. I used to be a NES gamer, and you know, it really got me down that kind of path of looking into space games and that kind of thing, and looking for games with more depth and everything. So yeah, it's good to see that it's getting out onto as many platforms as possible.
And this generation of consoles is seeing more variety than anything I can remember from the earlier eras.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's nice to see that they're virtually equal in specification as well. So you can start to see it's less of a choice of I'm going on this one because it's really powerful. It's more about like you just get it on everything because you just want to get everyone to see and experience your game for what it is. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see whether or not they do end up partitioning the universes, or whether or not we can see everyone, because you know we can see Mac players. There's no restriction there, and it would be a shame if we were partitioned for legal reasons more than gameplay reasons. You know, if it came down to some kind of Xbox Live, online service agreement thing, rather than it being for the good of gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we should probably point out, actually, because I know a few people have been talking about it whilst we're on the subject. The Xbox One version, obviously, is in the works. It's coming soon. But just to be clear on it, because a lot of confusion around it, it's a timed exclusive, so it's coming out to Xbox One first. But
Right.
David has actually been quoted as saying that the PS4 version is not off the table. It's something that is being considered. So it's not a no. It's just not yet. But
That's good. 'Cause I got a PS4. I'm like, I want it on that as well.
I know. I spoke to a lot of people where I work, and they're all going. It's like, oh, I really want on PS4. Can you get it on PS4 yet? And it's like, well, I'd like to say yes, but I can't say it. But now I can officially say to them, yes. PS4 is a very likely candidate, I think.
That's terrific. Yeah, that's really good. And maybe the new Nintendo console.
Can you get games on that?
Yeah.
No, we won't go there. We won't go there. No, I mean I think that's actually the Wii U is a pretty good console actually for that kind of the family games and everything they're going for. I think it works really well. They've got some great games on it. I love the Mario games. That they're something you just pick up and play. And it kind of highlights the fact that you don't need the depth and the graphics and all that kind of stuff if you've got a great gameplay mechanic. So there's something for everyone.
They've also announced new hardware as well. I think there's
really
something. Yeah, I think I read that recently. Does anyone in chat know about that? That Nintendo did a hardware announcement, sort of in the last few weeks.
No, I wasn't aware of that myself. But I'll be interested to see what they're planning. Obviously, where are we now? It is April. E3 is not far around the corner.
Yeah, that's true. God, blimey, it's it wasn't so long ago since I met you at the original E3 last year. That was amazing. That was.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely chuffed to bits to go to all the events on there. It was really, really good. I mean, I just love meeting people who hadn't played the game before and showing them stuff. And seeing that experience through them by proxy was awesome because unfortunately for me, I mean, getting involved in development and understanding how games work, it's taken a lot of the magic away from me, if you know what I mean. So I look at things now and I'm like, I know how this is working, so it doesn't shock me as it being like this interesting kind of thing. But then to see it through other people's eyes, and that first time you kind of open up the galaxy map and scroll out and they sit back in their seat and like, that sense of awe and wonder, it's lovely to see it in other people's eyes. It's really
I mean, that's one of the things that I've seen in some of the Steam reviews. Well, no, actually, no, it wasn't the Steam reviews. It was people talking about the Steam reviews on Reddit, but it was the first week or so with a game where you were told nothing and had to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of person who loves that kind of really quite steep learning curve, you are literally dropped in it and said, right, figure this out, off you go. Then that can be some of the most potent gaming experience stuff that you can come across these days, and it's really wonderful. And people were really reminiscing strongly over that initial period, in contrast with the people who are on Steam saying, legitimately from their point of view, it's like, I'm not told anything, this is stupidly hard, what am I doing, please I need some help, and it's really divisive.
Yeah, and that was always going to be a problem with this game. They said, David was talking about it from the outset, that it's not a game that's going to hold your hand. It's going back to the way that games were, and those kind of games are enjoyable for people. People like that kind of thing, and I think it's been proven. We've all jumped at the game. We love the fact that it throws you in. Here's 100 credits. Here's a sidewinder. Go nuts. That's what I love about it. Is it doesn't hold your hand. It throws you in the deep end and gets you on with it. But yeah, it is a real difficult thing for a lot of people. That learning curve is very, very steep initially, but very rewarding once you get into it. It's one of those things. It's hard to convince people that. It's worth the what? It's worthwhile. Yeah, worth that investment, that time investment to get past that initial curve. And hopefully things like the tutorials, the introductory videos and things that have been added to the various features as they're coming along, hopefully that will all help. I definitely think the tutorials need to be reworked. I know we were discussing options, I believe last month we were discussing options about where the tutorials go, what things are under tutorialized, was the topic we were talking through on the design. Oh dear, I'm going to have to be really careful with my next jump because I've been chatting away and I'm. Yeah.
Get plodding to some KGB foam near stars. You can filter them out.
Let's see. Oh dear. What is this? Class Y dwarf. That's no good. We don't want one of those. What is mine? Type T Towery. No, we don't want one of those either. Definitely. And this is one of those things, isn't it? It's like everyone's got to learn it. Type Owl. That's no good, is it? Oh dear.
No, filter it. So when you go onto View, do it by star class, and then untick anything that isn't KG, FABO, whatever it is.
M is okay. Al, T, Y, protostars.
Wolfrite, no. Carbon, no.
Let's turn all those off there. Oh, this one might be okay. That's in the right direction.
So you want to tick on... I don't think you can scoop from B type.
K is okay though, isn't it?
K is fine, yeah. So the acronym is KGB foam, or Oh Be a Fine Girl Kiss Me is the kind of acronym, or fine boy.
This is where my astronomy fails me, and David will be thoroughly disappointed in me there. I'm just an amateur astronomer. I don't know everything. Let's see if I've got anything worth scanning in the system before I shoot along. Might as well make it worthwhile before I die. Which
have you got the soundtrack, by the way? You backed at the level where you got the digital soundtrack.
Yes, yeah. That was I was scanning through the newsletter, and that's something I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I've got the download version, the digital download version of the soundtrack, and it's absolutely awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
But I am tempted. I had an iTunes voucher for my birthday, and I'm tempted on the. I want to get it on iTunes and download it.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the additional stuff you get with it, because I actually, when the OST first came out, I actually emailed Erasmus Talbot, who was the composer.
Oh yes, yeah.
Just because he's not on Twitter, he's kind of hard to get hold of. But I said, all right, fine, I'll just email him to say how much of a really good job I thought he did, and he replied saying there was a bunch of material that he'd put together with Frontier that was behind the scenes making of information. And it sounds like that is part of what you can get if you buy it separately.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm really curious about that. So I might end up doing the same thing and buy it again for that stuff, because I would really like to know a bit more about how he does it. What's his setup? I'm curious.
Yeah, the process of doing that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the work he's done with it. It's absolutely awesome, and not enough kind of. The audio doesn't get enough focus. I'm always talking about the audio being awesome, because I don't feel that it gets enough credit for what it adds to the game. It is really, really amazing. And it's not just the music that's been created and recorded and the sounds that they've generated and that kind of thing. It's the systems that make it possible, the kind of generative procedural systems that layer the things on in the right amounts, and you get the effects, the whooshing sounds and things like that. It's all built on systems that calculate how much of that sound effect you need and those kind of things. And that, for me, I think is really, really interesting, intriguing. The amount of effort that goes into making a viable system that actually works. Like the mechanical clanks and clunks of your spacecraft are all worked out based on the control inputs and all that kind of thing, which is awesome.
Yeah. Also, the things like the galactic maps. So when your camera in the galactic map goes through the grid plane that's drawn, the sort of zero, y-axis kind of thing. There's a tiny little a note, effect that gets played, and it's just the whole thing feels alive. It's like a sort of a Wall-E kind of thing, that it's buzzing and beeping and doing all kinds of things.
Reacting to your inputs and things. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely awesome. I love the way that works, because there's subtle little things that, unfortunately, I don't get to notice very much on the live stream, because the audio tends to be a lot quieter for me.
Yeah.
But when I go back and I get the full 5-in-1 going, and you just hear those little clicks, those little bleeps and blops on the UI, things reacting to your inputs. The first time I heard the little clicks that Jim put in for the pips, changed them so they were subtly different, like each syst power and engine system, like that. Each one's slightly different, so you know where it's going and what the reset sound is slightly different, and so on and so forth. I think that's really, really awesome. It adds so much to the game to make it automatically intuitive as to what's going on. I think that's great.
Yeah, Arms Like Noodles has said, the WWise, I don't know how you pronounce that, WWise, I guess, audio engine is awesome, and I think that's the kind of thing that allows them to do all the clever mixing and reverb and effects and whatever is going on. It's a lovely engine, and also lovely people making it.
Yeah, no, they're doing a fantastic job with it. So I take every opportunity I can to shout out the audio guys. Obviously, there's lots of people working hard on lots of other elements of the game, but that's something I feel needs a bit more credit. Karakino, oh yes, I want to know that as well. What about the 2nd and 3rd level scans? Yeah, we all want to know that. Now, I was So there we go. So I'll put it up on the screen for everyone. Exploration. So I've visited less than 1,000 systems. That's a paltry amount compared to some of the fantastic things that Fiery Toad's been doing. Hello, sir. I see you in the chat. Yeah. So level 2 detailed scans and level 3 detailed scans. Lots of rumour and speculation about what they might be. I'm kind of hoping, and this is wild speculation on my part, so take this into account. I hereby display my NDA and claim that I do not know this. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that level 2 scans might be things like atmospheric sampling, and level 3 might be surface samples. So I think it's placeholder for what is coming. And I think that's something, it lends itself to being an ideal kind of extension to the exploration mechanic once, because when you're doing the exploration, you've got that limit, haven't you? That in order to do the scans, you've got to get up close enough to scan them. And I jumped into the wrong system.
I don't know. I like, on the one hand, that I find that potentially plausible. On the other hand, I could just think it maybe as a bug. And Level 1 scans are when you ping it with a discovery scanner. Level 2 is when you go and scan it without a detailed surface scanner, but you do a close scan. And level 3 is with a detailed surface scanner, and it's just not it's just not adding it. It's a bug. I don't know. Yeah, it would be interesting if it was an atmospheric sample and then a core sample, a soil sample, or physical sample of the surface. But I really don't know.
I hope it is. Yeah. A future feature is going on there. It makes sense. I mean, it's something that if it was a UI bug and it shouldn't have been showing up in there, it would have been removed a while ago, I believe. So I don't believe.
True. the other thing that is points against it potentially is that the companion app API, and although this isn't necessarily gospel, there's a key in the dictionary of data that comes back from that called scans sold levels.
Right.
And I've got entries in mind for level 0, 1, 2, and 3. So there are, I guess 4 types of scans that it knows about in the game. But I don't know if that necessarily ties in with what we're talking about. But yeah, it could go either way, right? Like, it's hard to know.
Okay, so Fiery Toes just actually said in the chat there that interestingly, Prime 9 did mention that it's not a bug; it's some intentional feature.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's good. Or it was a bug and they've turned it into a feature.
that's what you got to do, isn't it?
That's creative thinking. I love it.
But yeah, no. So it's that's my idea anyway. I believe that they're going to go to that kind of thing, because the thing you want to do with exploration is you want to get people out to places and scout around and find these things. That's the interesting stuff about it. Like the whole idea of the discovery scanner having a range limit on it, and the fact that the detailed scanner has a range limit on it, that kind of thing. You want to get people close to these things. You want to get them to see and explore stuff. So for me, the next logical step is get them down to the atmosphere so they can scoop a sample. That seems like a sensible thing to do, and obviously that can't really come in until you can get closer to the atmospheres. And then to go on from that further, level 3 detailed scans, to me, I would imagine that as being something like surface samples, like I said. So actually getting down, taking a chunk of the materials there to get an idea of what's on the surface. To me, that sounds like a logical progression to that. So you kind of encourage people to get closer and closer and more involved in each one of these objects, I think.
So here's an interesting thought then. So currently, all of the scans that we do are really cartographic. And we sell to Universal Cartographics. They are for navigation purposes, kind of, for the most part. And when you find a terraforming planet, it touches on the idea that maybe corporations want that data for potential mining operations or whatever.
Yeah.
And if we're to do closer scans and atmospheric scans and core sample scans, that's even less about map navigation and making maps, and more about corporations wanting that data to go and set up a mining operation. That could feed into other things that maybe Powerplay brings in, or stuff down the line where there's much deeper meaning, and you pick the faction that you directly want to sell that mining to, rather than it just being a generic map corp, that you sell it to. Who knows? That's a potential down the line. But the idea that we see stations being built is one thing, but bases, the resources needed to build a starship or a Coriolis or whatever, an Orbis, are vast, and they are community goals. They are the massive scale things. But a tiny mining operation on a planet, it's much more like an outpost scale thing. You know, it's small. It's more modest. It could be like what you were talking about earlier, that middle ground between you doing a mission for someone and community goals. There is room for that medium level activity.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something we're going to be seeing in future updates. It would be really, really cool. A couple of guys. Mokai, thank you for joining the chat there. Who else is there? Makula Gameplay, greetings. Thank you for joining in tonight. It's lovely to see so many new faces in there. I think that's just go to say what is great about the Steam stuff on there. But, yeah.
I want to know why Makula Gameplay can't play the game already. He says he can't wait.
Can't wait to play the game. Are you just not home yet? You're not at your machine? Why not? Why can't you play it? Hopefully I can play it for you. Or we can talk you through some of the features if you haven't seen anything yet. No, I thought that was a question there for me. That's a question for Fiery Toad. Yeah, I'm interested to see how much exploration Fiery Toad had to do in order to reach elite rank, because I haven't had a chance to do it myself yet. Kwert, you'd like to see asteroid belts completely redone? I'd be interested to see what the ideas you've got for that, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think they needed complete redoing, but certainly embellishing. But you know, that's not to say that there can't be things that are scrapped and redone. Although it's difficult. This is one of the funny things about the game, in that it's hard to change too much now that it's an established game. You could do it in beta. You could have just nuked things.
Yeah, but this was the thing. I mean, 1.1 brought in the enhanced shader looks for the gas giants and stuff. So you had the depth, the parallax mapping, that kind of stuff was brought in. The city lights on populated planets, for example, that was a big update that went into the visual look of the game, and it really suddenly changed how the game felt, you know, in a lot of ways, because people were looking at it and thinking, well, suddenly you haven't got to these random planets. It's that they do look like they're genuine planets with people on them. So I suppose.
But have they taken away gameplay yet, though, by replacing it wholesale with something new or different?
No, not really. I mean, it's been layered on. So I'm just going to catch a quick keyword. They aren't very realistic. You'd like to see stuff like the Kepler belt, rings of asteroids and systems instead of loose rocks by the star. I see what you mean. Yeah, so you get the asteroid clusters around the stars instead of like what we have in the solar system, where you have an asteroid belt. But I believe a lot of the reason for that is the asteroid belt, as much as you might see it in books and things like that, as being like this nice solid ring around the sun in our solar system. I don't believe the asteroid belt is actually that dense. There's not a lot of stuff there.
No, but he's right that there's not too much variety right now.
Yeah, you've just got these lumps of rocks which are just floating there.
And they're ice. You know, sometimes they're ice rocks and sometimes they're rock rocks. But yeah, it sounds like, you know, with all this procedural generation stuff, you want to broaden the amount of variation you get, if at all possible.
Yeah, I mean, that was my key thing. At every discussion that came up in the design forum, I was always advocating and driving home the point of variety. As you know, every single conversation was like, but what about the variation? What are the layers? What are the depth to this? What are we going to see? The same with the missions. I've always been nagging about the missions and saying, yeah, that mission's great. How can you vary it? How can you add, you know, interesting things to it so that it's different for every person that plays it? So yeah, I'd like to see some more detail and depth in those things. And I know David is really keen to have as many realistic, believable things in the game from a scientific point of view. I know earlier on he tweeted that fantastic looking proto star which is being watched by the scientific community at the moment, and usually when he starts seeing things like that, it's like he wants it in the game. So
yes. Yeah, well, coming back to what we were talking about, the album, there's a bunch of stuff that the tracks named in the album are the first 12 tracks or so are named after observable things within the universe. So pulsars, neutron stars, fuses, Thorn's Zeitkow objects, magnetars, Hoag's object, and these are all lovely. And it made me think, you know, it would be so odd if he's done a bunch of tracks that are lovely, and each of them is lovely in their own right, and somehow one of the, you know, it's only possible to hear one of the tracks in the game by going to one place in the universe, in the galaxy we've got. You know, it's like the rarest track in the Elite Dangerous soundtrack at all, you know, ever.
Awesome. It's bound to be out there. Bound to be out
yes,
there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was really pleased when I first found a system with a neutron star in it. That was
and
really
it sounded different, right?
Yeah, it's just got a completely different feel. And you know, like I said, Jim's kind of got this idea of like these almost like different like sound fonts, like, you know, these kind of feels to different areas and different environments that are experiencing the game. So I think that's really, really cool, this idea that the game adapts and expands based on what you're seeing currently in that location. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, the first time I went to the Maya system, MAIA, I think that's one of the closest black holes to the inhabited space, yeah. And it was one of the, you know, I fought a lot of battles, and I've been in a lot of peril and jeopardy and that kind of thing, but nothing compared with the feeling of hanging, you know, a few light seconds away from a black hole. You know, that was another level of sort of destructive force in the universe. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, it was really scary the first time I got up nice and close and personal with something like that, and you realise that you can't get very close to it, you can't see anything. This thing is so tiny that you can get, well, probably like quarter of a light second away from it, which is too far to see the damn thing.
Yeah.
But already you are stuck within its gravity. Well, it's really scary when you get to that point.
And the hypergiants, you know, the crazy big stars that you get trapped next to, and you're like, oh my god, I'm cooking.
Yeah, very scary. And that's one of the things I think is awesome about exploration, is you just don't know what you're going to find until you get out there, which is really, really cool.
The worst thing is being sandwiched between two binaries as you exit hyperspace.
It's like, no! Scary stuff. Oh, terrestrial water world. Yay! Goodies.
Awesome.
Goodies.
Ka-ching!
Yeah. That's some cash in the back pocket. I think it was the Maya system. Wasn't that one of the Pleiades? Was it? Is one of the
I can't remember. Let's have a look. Yeah, I can't remember. I ended up going there by accident. I wasn't really looking for it, and then I bumped into someone else there, and they were like, "I'm looking for the black hole." I'm like, "Yeah, come over here. I think it's down here." And we had local chat, and it was, you know, another thing about Wings is it was so lovely bumping into someone and start striking up a random conversation. You know, it makes me think of all those discussions about how group chat was going to make it dreadful. You know, and everyone in the forums was thinking about how negative it would be and people spamming you and whatever. And actually, no, I've seen no spamming. I don't think I've seen any bad problems with group chat at all, and it's been nothing but a net positive. So you know, you do have to remain, your glass should be half full with the game.
Absolutely. You know, I think that there's too much negativity just generally on a lot of things like that. And I looked at this, and I know they've got the features in there for, you know, blocking people and disabling local chat and disabling direct chats and those kind of things. So the features are all there to do that. I haven't had to use them yet. I've had no issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's just.
Yeah, Mara Jaden and so have I just confirmed that, yeah, it's in the middle of the Pleiades Nebula. Yeah, so well remembered, that man.
See, my astronomy is not terrible. It's just spotty and, you know, not great. But yeah, I know
it was a lovely thing. It was a lovely chance meeting, you know, and the idea that you can bump into. There's some, you know, the universe is. The game is popular enough so that you can go 500 light years away from Earth to a relatively popular destination, I guess.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere and still bump into someone. Yeah.
So I think there should be like a black hole theme park, like a Disneyland sort of thing, like a flume ride around the black hole.
Awesome. Well, that's the great thing about it. Like I said, right at the start, the chance meetings and stuff like that. That's the thing I love about the game. That's just bringing people together into these coincidental kind of situations. It's really, really cool, and I love that, and I think it's great, and it's just going to get better and better with more and more people in the game, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and also that's one of the interesting things about so many people potentially joining from having access through Steam now, is that we've all got to be as helpful as we can, because it can be quite brutal those first few days and weeks in the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
And giving people a leg up is really nice. You can sort of live vicariously through their experiences, through their eyes as well, by hearing, you know, how they're getting on with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think I'm going to put a link up in the chat on here. But one of the things that I think is really important is for everyone who's got experience to get in on the Steam discussions on the community forums there, and, you know, just start helping out people, because there's a lot of questions coming up on there. And it's just interesting to see new people coming at it, fresh eyes, and coming up with the same things that we did initially 3 months ago, or even longer ago in the alphas and the betas and stuff like that. We were also asking those questions. How do I use the detailed surface scanner? Now we just take it for granted that we know exactly how to use the detailed surface scanner. It's like, oh, you've got to get within 10 light seconds and point at it and select the target, and it's like, we know it now. It's kind of second nature to us. It's we just know it, but it's one of those things that a lot of people are going to be coming at the game and are going to be asking those questions. So I think we all just need to be really supportive and encouraging people coming into the game. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember certain games gave you not achievements, but incentivized you for helping out to help out other players as well. It's interesting. There's no game system like it, but to make use of decals as being rewards for participating in certain ways, and then using them as badges to declare the kind of person you are, like you're a new commander helper, or whatever, as well as an explorer, and it's flavor. It personalizes. You have that, whereas not many people not many others might.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as an addition. That's the risk. You should post that on the forums. You see, see, that's a great idea.
Newbie helper, yeah.
I want that badge, but
right.
That's the kind of thing that Steam kind of encourages and brings to the table. We've got that idea now that you've got the badges and achievements, and I know a lot of people don't like the idea of badges and achievements, but it's one of those things. It's an option you can get involved with if you want to, but if you don't, you can just ignore it. That's the beauty of these things.
Yeah. I think people. So I understand the objections that some people have about achievements. It's when they pop up and break immersion. They remind you in a sim game that you're sitting at your keyboard and you've clicked a few buttons and it's popped up this little window telling you something, and it can be very jarring in ways that you maybe don't want in a sim game. So to have an option to have them there is interesting, but I kind of understand that there should be an opt-out.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Steam achievements on a whole, but I just wish you could. Wow, there probably is an option. I've never even looked at it. Don't come and tell me I've got an achievement. Once I finish the game, I'll look back. Oh, look at all those ones I've collected. Oh, cool. Which is
yes, yeah, exactly. Like if it's an offline thing that you can check up on your progress, it's more like viewing. It doesn't matter at the time. It matters overall.
Yeah.
It's a bit like how the companion app is designed to be. Like, here's how you've got to, here's where you got to so far.
Yeah. Oh, Toad's just hit the nail on the head. It's like, where is that right on commander?
Yes.
Yeah. You need that every rank up. It needs to give you that because there's no feedback. How that was missed, I don't know.
I wanted a right on commander and a little trill from Final Fantasy where it goes da 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 da.
See, I would have settled for the original sample from was it Frontier Elite 2, and it played the old the theme thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like some kind of I don't know, but that sounds ridiculous and immersion breaking in and of itself.
Yeah, you want just some little audio sample like from the Elite Federation just coming over, crackling over the radio like, "Congratulations, Commander!
Yeah,
you hit ranked up."
Yes, the Pilots Federation. They dump you into the galaxy. They give you a ship and they say, "Right, off you go, son."
Yep,
you never hear from them again.
Yeah, and occasionally you look over that console and it's like, oh, they must have changed it. Yeah. No, it definitely needs some more feedback, I think.
I think the Pilots Federation deserve to be usurped by the Dark Wheel in Shinrata.
Oh, yeah.
That would be good. That would be good. Whoever the Dark Wheel are, whatever they do, I'm all for them. They're bound to be more caring. They can't be less caring.
No, exactly. Yeah. No,
or a Galnet message. Yeah. So Arms Like Noodles is although Galnet, that's an interesting one. It's more like it would be something in the invite tray in your
at the top of the screen in the comms panel.
Yeah, so it's not Galnet. It's not news in the sense that is a one-to-many sort of broadcast of news. It's specifically for you, and it actually would be interesting if you got an invite or a ping or a communique from an NPC. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah. think that makes sense. I mean, like you know, with 1.2, it's got those mechanics in there. They can build on that, and that's something I think they need to do next, is to add that on there. A couple of good points in there, actually. Hang on, Muttley, with the Xbox One version, we need achievements. For example, don't fly something you can't afford to lose.
Yeah, yeah, right. You're like, oh my god,
popular
I've lost
theme, I think. Yeah, that's the. Yeah, that's one of the things.
Or getting, I think there should be an achievement for getting killed whilst you're in the debug cam.
yeah.
Look behind you.
Addicted to selfies. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. That's happened to me. I parked myself near the arms of a rotating station, you know, an orbit station, to take a lovely selfie and got smashed to bits.
Oh, I hope you got the picture before you exploded.
Yes, I did.
Oh,
but yeah, that was an expensive picture.
Yeah, it's not all loss, just quite expensive. There we go. Tabalash, is there a difference between the factions? There is. Currently, there's not really a lot to show you what's going on. They have different political views. You tend to have, you know, the democratic views and things like that. Actually, if I go into the galaxy map, I can show you some of the different system types. But I'm gonna have to head somewhere interesting.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that you can open up in the right hand screen when you're in. Oh no, sorry. Where is it? Yeah, in the system status screen, you can open up each row of factions to see a little bit about their credo, their ethos.
Yeah. So let's see if I can actually go into the system view here. So we can see, first of all, before we drill down in, obviously we've got all these different government types around in this location. All these different star systems here have a different kind of faction standing. Now the ruling faction of those systems is obviously the one which dictates what that system's government currently is, but if a faction gets enough influence, you can switch a system from like communism over to anarchy and back again and stuff like that. That's one of the wonderful things about the background sim going on, and I don't think it gets enough attention, but I think that's one of the really, really interesting things, which is going to make a big difference over the upcoming months and stuff, of how the game evolves and changes, seeing these little clusters of star join up and, you know, kind of group up into factions that work together. But yeah, the names of the factions are mostly irrelevant. It is literally just, you've got one party that believes in one particular type of government, and then you've got different types of governments and things like that. So really there's no grand difference in the actual faction types, but other than the government model that they follow.
Well, they do offer you different types of missions. So factions that are more allied with anarchy will generally give you missions to blow shit up, blow stuff up, in a and go and pirate things and whatever. And if there is a system that is more political, they'll get you to deliver documents which are sort of subversive,
messages, like vote for us, sort of thing. Yeah, I suppose that is the interesting side effect, is that whatever that faction type is, then they will do that. Quick question there, Karakina, what was the option to see star types? So I've got that on the screen there. You can switch the star class there and go down.
Yeah, that is necessary for explorers when you've got a small fuel tank. If you're not in an ASP, you really need that.
Which I'm not currently. I'm just messing around in an adder. I could have kitted myself out with an ASP, but I thought, you know what? Everyone goes into an ASP because it's the ultimate explorer. I want to try something different. I want to pick something else. I thought I'll go with an adder.
There's not currently. I would love a little bit more reason to step back into the smaller ships. Yeah, it'd be lovely.
Yeah, like you said, the smuggling for the Sidewinder and that kind of thing, that's really, really awesome. I like the idea of a fighter ship. The Eagles I love for fighting, even though the Vultures outclass them in just about every aspect. The Eagle is still my favourite ship to get in and fly. It's so fun, it's so quick, manoeuvrable. I just love playing around with it. I'm hoping they start to do things like, they've hinted at the idea of having smaller ships stashed away in a little bay underneath the larger ships. So I love the idea that if I can't decide which of the ships I want to fly, I can have a bigger one and then have a little one in the cargo bay that I can pop out. I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'd love the idea of false flag missions where some nefarious faction gives you a ship and go and shoot up the police with this ship. and it looks like some other horrible faction, and you've created some kind of tension and war situation.
And then you've got to rush back to where you parked your anaconda, jump in there, and it's like when they come looking for that little red eagle with the skulls and the flames down the side of it, they can't find you. Where have you gone? It's like, I haven't seen anything, officer. Maybe you went to that system over there.
Yes, exactly. The idea of subterfuge, and again feeding into the idea that you need silent running and sort of being
hiding away,
sneaky. Yeah, exactly. Like hiding a ship behind an asteroid in an asteroid field.
I love the idea of that. I think that's awesome.
Ship to ship boarding. Whenever we get that, that's one of the first things that we should be getting in terms of getting up out of our chair, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. That'll be good when that does eventually come. I think it needs to be done right. There needs to be a good reason for doing it.
Yeah, right.
That's the important thing with it. Really, is there's no point adding features to a game which you just don't know what you're going to do with yet. You could throw everything in the kitchen sink throw everything at the game, and that model might work for you. But I don't think that's right for Elite. I think where the game is going at the moment is the right way, is build that solid base, incrementally add features of progressively more detail in there, and that definitely is working out the way the game is at the moment.
Oh, I like this. Spytech in the chat wants to be able to fly a condor. I guess he's one of the elite racers.
Yeah, he's one of the... I want some love for the elite racers. I love what the guys are doing in that, and I know they've got the mention in the Galnet newsletters, but I want us to be able to put down checkpoint beacons and things like that. Let us make our own races, like first around Saturn's rings and underneath Jupiter's, and through Io. Yeah, first one to do that will I'll drop a couple of tons of cargo for you. So I want that gameplay in, and that's really, really awesome. I'm well behind the racers. I really want the racers to get some love.
I saw a brilliant clip of the bit at the start of the race. Oh, here we go. Can I post?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Links in the chat. I can't remember.
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah.
Let's post this in. So this was just the crazy bit at the start of the race where everyone piles out the docking hatch, and there's some guy in a Viper that manages to beat everyone. That's it. It's from Galnet News. It's from the wonderful Galnet News YouTube channel. That if people don't know about, I'll post a link to that as well. But it looks like crazy fun.
Oh wow! Oh, I just watched that myself. That is crazy.
Yeah,
I wonder if I can get that up on the live stream for those who didn't.
It's absolutely nuts.
Oh, that's what I love about it. It is really, really cool to see the kind of emergent gameplay coming out of it. It's really, really nice to see that, and it's something I want more focus on that in the future, definitely.
I love the idea that the racers want condors. Like everyone complains about the condor being completely rubbish in a death trap, but the racers are like, yeah, death trap, bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that risk and reward, isn't it? And that's what I love about the Eagle. I mean, I emptied out the Eagle and fitted it out with like no shields, no nothing. Even dropped the fuel tank down to the minimum size to get the weight down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome that you can do that kind of thing and still get away with it and have some great fun with it. Let's see
if you do that. I would love an option in the navigation panel in the route finder that says fuel scoopable stars only, please.
Yeah,
because you've literally got to refuel after every jump.
Yeah, that's the problem I was just seeing here. I was like,
hey, there it is. Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah. But I love what the guys are doing with that. I think it's really, really awesome. I love the racing mechanic and everything that people come up with, and it's great that kind of gameplay is supported and it's possible. It's something that everyone can do. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things. Because the guys they see these things that the community is doing, they're like, man, that's so cool. It's like we've got to do something with that. And of course, they've got a huge to-do list of things that need to go into the game first. But all these things are being noted. So and anyone out there coming up with these great ideas of a way to play the game and some interesting thing they want, I'd say absolutely get on the forums, put those ideas up. The guys are listening. They will kind of weigh up the pros and cons. Can we get this in? And this. Go on.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking that's true, but it did happen with the first Great Expedition.
Yeah.
Where Frontier were like, oh, this sounds great, and also talked about it in newsletters, and it turned out to be, rather unnecessary. You don't need something that it turned out that the game mechanics weren't in there in the way that they were imagining it. So
yeah.
You can get to the galaxy core on your own, thanks, and don't need an expedition. It's like sort of Edmund Hillary sort of trudging to the North Pole, with a wooden sled pulled behind him and the Huskies and everything, and then some guy in a ski, the sort of motorized snowmobile shooting past, going, "What, you idiot! What are you doing?"
Well, I think that was the problem. Is the community at large didn't know what the mechanics were going to be like for exploration, what the limits were, what your capabilities of an individual ship were going to be, and stuff like that. And really, the balance went towards not so much, picking a single target and going for it, which is what the center of the core is, what everyone talks about doing. It's one of those point in time things you can do, but the mechanics for the exploration was kind of geared more towards the idea of spreading out and actually mapping an entire region rather than just picking an end goal, going there and coming back. Because that kind of shoot out and come back mechanic is something that everyone is an explorer kind of picks an area they want to go to and wants to do. So I can understand why the game's been balanced that way to allow you to do it. Everyone's kind of got one of those kind of like, oh, I want to go to this kind of nebula or that kind of thing, and and they've got these little goals in mind that they want to do. So if that was really, really hard to do by yourself, I'm sure there would be a lot more uproar about the fact it's like, oh, I wanted to go to the center of the galaxy, but it's impossible for me to do myself. Oh, this is terrible. Like, oh, blah, 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 blah. We would have seen ranting and raving a lot more in that case. Like you said, going around Barnard's Loop, can you imagine if exploration was so difficult and wear and tear was so much more punishing that you couldn't get to Barnard's Loop without assistance? That would be incredibly annoying.
Yeah, that's right, and it comes back to that philosophy of if it's you and your ship against the universe. I totally see it, but it is one of those funny things where a community was galvanized around something that they thought was going to happen and didn't. So it does happen in either way. It can happen.
It's that tricky balance between it's like, where do you get the communication? You want surprises, so there's something interesting always coming, and people are looking forward to something they didn't know what was going to happen. But at the same time, you want to communicate enough that people are keen and they're eager and they're interesting, and that's what they're trying to do with like 1.3. The newsletters.
Right.
They're putting those little tidbits of information about how big it's going to be and what it's going to mean and how keen they are to get it out there and everything.
They're a bigger tease than you are.
It's Michael's fault. It's terrible. His behaviour is just it's terrible influence on me, I must admit. But
it's keeping us all guessing. I think it's brilliant,
And that's the thing. It's like they want to say that there is some really cool, interesting stuff coming, but at the same time, we don't want to tell you what it is because it would ruin it. It's all about having a nice surprise at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's a tricky balance. It's a tough call, really. Where can I head to?
I see a Brett C, a Brett C that's turned up in chat as well. That's Brett for the forum mod, I think.
Aha! Greetings, moderator. How are you doing, sir? Yes, great to see you in the chat. See, I think he's been lurking around for a while. He must have been.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
He's come to check up on me. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
Why aren't you helping out on the Steam forums right now?
Just what it is. What are you saying? How much of the secret, knowledge base are you revealing?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Out you go. Yeah, you've been kicked out of the group. That's it. That's like Homer Simpson and the what's the club he gets kicked out? I forget now. The secret.
The Mason.
The Mason. Yeah, the Mason group parody they did of that was awesome. That's it. Oh, yeah. We are.
Oh, that was an awesome episode. That is going back as well.
That's an old one.
Yeah, I love that one.
We shall now be known as the Sacred Order of No Homer.
Yeah, right. Oh, that is so good. I want to watch that episode.
Yeah. There's going to be a faction show up now. The No Crash group.
Oh, and they had a song in there as well. It's one of the episodes with Homer the Great. Is that it? Since Freemasons, Illuminati, the Stonecutters.
Yeah, the Stonecutters, that's the ones. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. That's it. They're all telling on me now. Let's see, they're all now, yeah. That's it. I'm out of the group now. That's it. No one. What have you guys done? So, yeah, I try to be nice. Try to share some fun with you. Yeah, you all
That's
get
right. It's just terrible. The goodwill from the bottom of your heart, sharing with the community.
I know. It's terrible stuff.
The Illuminati is real in the 33rd century.
So just because you're not paranoid doesn't mean they're not following you.
Exactly. They're invisible. All the Thargoids are invisible. Watch out!
Oh, of course. I mean, that's an interesting. Everyone's always asking the question on there. It's like, are there aliens in this game? And it's like, well, yes, there are, but you know, no one's seen them yet. Nobody knows where they are or anything.
Actually, saying that, on Reddit today, in the fantastic Elite Dangerous subreddit, someone had dug up the word Thargoids in a string in one of the files installed in the game. Proved.
Damn. Okay, then I guess I can say yes, they will be in there at some point.
I think we know that. You know that in lore terms, they've come and gone.
Yeah,
haven't they?
Yeah, and I think it was in First Encounters. They basically just got they got their ability to move around from. Sorry, that's what Brett just put in there.
Yes,
Brett's gonna whip me now. Yeah, they lost their ability to travel through hyperspace because of something we humans did, and I don't think that's spoiling anything. That's well-known fact.
Yeah.
INRA.
That was FFE, was it?
Yeah, one of the story missions towards the end of FFE, you could join up and remove. Was it the spreading the virus? Wasn't it? That faction there. You got was it the Turner class ship? You got at the end of that. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. So the Thargoids have lost their ability to travel through witch space, and we haven't heard of them since. So. Interesting times. Where are they? Have they regained their ability to travel through the system? Have they just decided that humans are just too much damn trouble to get involved with, and they're just letting us get on with things?
Or is it like the Cylons? They're biding their time.
They're just sat waiting.
Yes,
and then
with envious eyes.
But yeah, no, I'm really keen to see them come back, and I know David's hinted before about the fact that how they interact with us may be completely dependent on how the first player that finds them interacts with them. I think that's
mad.
That's really scary. That, you know, if it's some new guy who has no idea about the history or the lore, eventually sees these ships and say, I didn't know what it was, so I just got my guns out and started firing at it. It's like, you did what?
It's a bit like, in a funny kind of way, Twitch plays Pokemon, where you're like putting the entire fate of a game into
into the hands of someone who doesn't know what's going on. It's like, no. I think that's really cool. I can't wait for that to be part of the game on there. Sorry, Grebo, I apologise. Witch space. So if you go back 30 years and look at the earlier games, Witch space was basically the hyperspace between stars, effectively. And
it's the tunnel that you travel through is witch space, isn't it?
I would jump to another system now to demonstrate. So when you hyperspace between star systems, you go into what is effectively was known as witch space. There you go, Maxurus is saying on there now. So the Thargoids were a race of insectoid creatures that live in witch space, the space between spaces, or something suitably sci-fi like that. And yeah, effectively they attacked the players randomly in the earlier games. You had no idea, but they would pull you out in the middle of nowhere, not near any stars, and you'd be stuck in some random location with them, and you'd very tough enemies to fight.
Also, I think if you turn the volume up in the current game, you can hear, like, witches or something.
The voices.
Yeah, the voices.
See, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to fly the Adder, because I know a lot of people have said that the Adder has some weird voices when you sit there out in the void. So
Ghost ship.
A couple of more questions. I'll cover off some more questions. I think we might need to wrap up for this evening. But Filmo123 Trumbles, yes, I want the Trumbles bag. I want that. So yeah, if anyone watching doesn't know about the Trumbles, so it was a bit of a spoof on the old Tribbles from Star Trek. If you did accept a mission to transport the damn things, they would multiply until you couldn't see out your cockpit window. I'd love to see that, because now we could have them in 3D as physics objects bouncing around the cockpit. That would be absolutely amazing. I would love to see that.
Also, think of the possibilities of Trumbull merch as well. Who wouldn't want a tiny, cute one, on your sofa at home?
Like, oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah. I don't care if they don't show up in the game. Just make me a fluffy Trumbull I can buy on the Elite Dangerous store, please. Ed, where are you? Oh, and Mr. Stabler has just joined now. It shows up. Talk about late. fashionably late, I don't know, shows up just as we're wrapping up the stream.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
That's never mind. But it's good to see you anyway, sir. Nice to see you on the chat. And I know there is something on there. You haven't been able to Twitch messaging. Oh yes, yeah. A lot of people had their Twitch passwords reset recently, so yeah, you probably had to reset before you can get in on there. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to
go through that,
John, but you could if you want to. By all means, you can give a shout out for your project you've been working on. I'll give you a few minutes to consider that. I know that was something.
Yes, I heard of that in the most recent Lave Radio episode. I was very curious. It's a game, is it?
Yes, yeah. And I had a quick go on it the other night, and I absolutely love it. And if he doesn't kickstart it, then I'm gonna stand behind him and push him towards Kickstarter. You must get this game off the ground. It's absolutely awesome. He doesn't want to talk about it. No, you're. See,
well, we can tease it,
We can tease it, yeah. So I think it's an awesome game, and I want to see more. It's really, really cool. Mech Shadowbeast said, yeah, the Thargoids, they were evil things, started firing the little Tharglet ships at you. Yeah, because of course their technology was kind of like biomechanical, wasn't it? So that's the reason why INRA used a virus to disable their hyperdrives.
Also, I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring in AI stuff as well, as a potential story element. But who knows?
Yeah, deep learning stuff. Scary. So many possibilities, and I think that's the thing that keeps me going. It's just the potential, which is the awesome thing about Elite. It's really, really.
And
good.
Also the sense of humor as well. The funny game bugs that turn up in Galnet as sort of lore. It's a brilliant dynamic universe that is being shepherded very well so far.
Yeah. Frontier are having so much fun playing Games Master for this universe that we're all just a tiny part of, and I think that's the bit I love about it. Is it's so dynamic, it's adapting to what we do as a community, and we're having great fun just making up these stories about it, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So I think
blaze your own trail.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. So I think on that note, we better wrap it up for this evening. So I want to say once again, thank you very much, Bewildebeest, for joining in. That was really, really awesome for you to step up late in the day.
No problem.
Short notice, I know, but really, really cool. And if you guys want to join in on the show and be involved in Kerrash Landing, then by all means, you can contact me any way you like. Get on the Twitch messages, send me an email to crash@kerrashlanding, any way you want to do it, on Twitter, anything like that. I love to hear off you guys. It's all about the community at the end of the day, so I like to chat with you and hear other people's experiences and share those things with you. It's really, really awesome. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for all the comments and the questions tonight. Really awesome to see some new players coming in on Steam. But until next time, see you in the void, Commanders.